Hello, everyone. This is Tom, your host for the Hidden Truths channel. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope you're enjoying your Labor Day weekend. Anyway, I thought it'd be a good time to do a video on how different the past was from when, us Gen Xers and grew up and stuff. So I thought I'd do a video on that tonight since we're dealing with the end of the summer holiday. Anyway, but it's going to be a good one. Things have definitely changed a lot. Human beings have changed a lot. But first, gotta wait for a few people to show up. So let's talk about this 3-eye atlas space comet, alien ship, whatever it is. Okay. The reason it's called 3-eye atlas, not 31, but 3-eye, because it's the third interstellar, meaning it came from out of our solar system into our planetary system. They say it came from like the middle of the universe or whatever. Hey, J99, how's it going? But it's 3-eye stands for third interstellar object. And Atlas, that's the telescope that found it. But I tell you what, they're talking this thing up, aren't they? They're saying, I mean, you got that one Harvard professor that's pushing it pretty bad that when is it landing? When is it landing? I don't know. They're saying sometime end of November, December. This is the thing. I believe in aliens, okay? I'll straight up with this, but this is ridiculous, okay? There's no way the aliens, if they're going to come over to cause us harm, are going to give us months in advance to what they're doing. And I don't think they'd use a trajectory. I mean, it's a very unusual thing. Could it be a probe? Absolutely. I would go more for a probe than we're going to be dealing with something like Independence Day. I don't see that happening, but boy, they're sure talking it up. I need to do a whole show on that because maybe it's true, maybe it's not. We'll never know. I guess we got to wait till the end of November or the first part of December. But boy, wouldn't that be a Christmas present? Where is your tinfoil hat? Like I told you, it's a little too far-fetched for me. A little too far. I mean, it's there, okay? There's no doubt about it. It's not acting like a comet in most parts. And now they say they found nickel on it and stuff. Okay, we'll see. I don't know. I'm not one of these guys, but this is supposed to be smart guys, right? But anyway, I got some people showing up. Appreciate you being here this evening. And let's get on to the subject. How things are so different than the way they used to be. Like I say, I'm a Gen Xer. I was born in 1967. And things are definitely different. From the classroom to how people look at medical field, to the way teenagers are, the government, drug problem, okay, wars. And remember, we're told everything is great these days, right? And now I hear we're going to sit there and maybe invade Venezuela, whatever. Wars and rumors of wars. It's something else to get into. But let's talk back when, like you say, when we were kids, little kids, innocent little kids, kindergarten age and before. I mean, I remember before my mom got remarried and we lived in town. I mean, I don't ever remember feeling danger like kids must feel today. Playing with our friends in the neighborhood. I was what, 3, 4, and 5? All us kids were, we'd still run around the neighborhood. Nobody had to worry about their kids being taken. Remember having fun doing innocent stuff. I definitely in kindergarten wasn't learning about gender stuff, okay? What I learned in kindergarten? How to make stuff, how to play, how to take naps, and George Washington crossing the Delaware. Argentina. Yeah, I'm going to bring that up about wars of the past, the big wars we had in the past. Remember the Falkland Wars? But anyway, school was just different. I mean, I had kids in school. My kids are out of school now. They got kids in school now. But dealing with, they started school in the early 2000s. and having to deal with the education system that I dealt with as a student compared to the education system that I had to deal with as a parent, two totally different things. One was definitely more stressful than the other one. I had more arguments with superintendents and principals as a parent than I did as a student. Okay. We don't worry about things either. We always play outside. Yeah. You got kicked out of the house. And growing up on a farm, if you got stupid enough where you want to be seen, you were working. I worked hard enough. When they didn't have a chore for me, I disappeared. Sometimes half the damn day. Everybody made sure they were home. You had breakfast, and everybody made sure they were home for supper. If you missed lunch, so be it. But everybody sat down. Remember sitting down at the table? Mom loading up the table, and everybody sitting down and, having a meal together. Boy, those are days of the past. Imagine if we brought back some more of that family stuff again. Anyway, we're not talking about family right now. We're talking about school. I appreciate everybody. Hey, Mr. Tough Man, calm down. I'm not even excited yet. Jeepers Cripes, Kevin. I ain't even excited yet. I am calm today. Anyway, I don't want to get old Alex Jones nuts today. Like I say, this is the day of reminiscing on how things used to be and compared to how they are now. But yeah, school has definitely changed, okay? I mean, I go and pick my kids up from the class when you could still, as a parent, could still go into the schoolhouse instead of having to sit in the office. I'd sit there and the teacher was trying to teach, right? But she had like 3 or 4 students that were paying attention to her and the rest of them weren't. Well, anyway, we're paying for that now, but that's how things were different. School, we didn't have to deal with school shootings either when I was a kid. I mean, we used to come to school in our pickup trucks with shotguns and rifles in our rifle racks, in our pickup trucks, and probably a pistol in the glove box. And 2 guys would get in a fight, and nobody thought about going out to their vehicle to get the weapon to blow shit up. I mean, we were allowed to sit there and have wallets that had chains connected to them, jackknives on us and stuff. And we got an education. I mean, when I was a junior and senior in high school, and I could go to on Sundays, I could call the athletic director up, get his keys for the school as a junior and senior on a Sunday, get his keys to the school, and he had a key to he had the master key, so I could go lift weights. Yeah, by myself in the school. When would you ever see that nowadays? Going down to the locker room just like it was a regular school day lifting weights. Yeah, teachers just giving you the keys to the school. And it didn't matter. You could get to the school anyway because the old part of the school, which they added on to, which had the furnace room and stuff, the janitor's room, that door was always left open. Always. And we had all these open doors and the school never had to worry about crime. I'm just saying, these are on how things were different. Because I'm 18. I tell you what, though, you being 18, when you get my age, I'm 40 years older than you. When you get my age, you'll be telling the same thing to your kids, how great things used to be in the past. It's just a cycle of life. The progression of technology expanding, and it's just times were different. When I grew up, poor was poor. We grew up poor, and that's, we worked hard, getting up early from first grade on, doing chores and stuff, 4:30 in the morning, whether it was school, whether it was raining, snowing, it didn't matter. No Doofy, the song is Alice Cooper called I'm 18. Oh, sorry. Didn't get you there. But anyway, yeah, things are different. And then you talk about high school. I mean, you kids these days, you have no idea what it was like to be free. I mean, we didn't have cell phones. We went out on a Friday or Saturday night, like say, I grew up in a small town, and kids with cars would be cruising, and you could get in one of the cars with them, and you'd sit there and cruise all night. We didn't have, I never did have a curfew. Okay. I could come and go as I pleased. Um, when I got older, we lived out in the country. Okay. It was just different back then. You know, it was just different back then. Kids had a lot more freedom. We were a lot more responsible too. And not to say we didn't do stupid shit. Of course, all kids do stupid shit. But one thing we didn't do is we didn't want nobody knowing. We definitely weren't taking pictures or filming ourselves doing it. Hey, Sonny, how's it doing? Tom, good. See ya. J99C. Yep. Tell us about GPA. Tell us GPA. Tell us what is your grade point average? Let's just say I got my IQ is limited to how much knowledge that I'm introduced to. I mean, if you feel that you got I always did very well in school. I made the honor roll. See, back when I was in school, you had to be on the honor roll to play sports. Okay. And I took math and sciences and biology and chemistry and trig and calculus and physics. And you want to sit there and compare in education. My fourth grade education that I had was equal to a high school diploma these days. It's actually, I knew a little more because I could do cursive, I could do addition, subtraction, fractions and stuff. I mean, I knew history. But my high school diploma was equal to a 4-year degree these days. Plus, I got secondary schools too. So whatever. You want to compare bedpans? Don't try it. God, I love how I get challenged here. Just challenged. You want to know what my grade point average is? Go check out my other content. Jeepers Christ. That's all you got to do. 15 seconds here on a feed you're going through isn't nothing. Go to my content. Go see if I'm a dumbass. Hey, you can sit there and judge me however you want. Common sense means more important. Yeah, common sense is very important. But common sense has went out the door these days because common sense would tell you, right, that if you got a dick between your legs, you're a guy. But we'll get away from that common sense, right? Anyway, all I know is growing up as a teenager when I was growing up was a blast. I mean, especially in small town, country roads, and we didn't have the cops like you people do these days, okay? We had a town. I grew up in a town of a little over 2,000, farming community in Minnesota, right? Little house near Prairieville. Walnut Grove, that type of area, right? And we had 4 cops in our town, 4 full-time cops, and they shared a car. That means when the other guy was getting off duty, he'd go to the cop's house, go pick him up from his house, and then that cop would get in the car and drop the other cop off at his house. That's the way it was run. God, we just didn't have a crime problem we do today. How is that possible? Times were tough. Not that it was easy growing up, but we did have fun. We worked hard and we played hard. Remember that? Tell us what. Are you talking? Whatever. William, Oliver, I don't have time for you. You're talking about grade point averages, and and I did very well in school. Like I said, go watch my other content, fool. If you think I'm an idiot, go ahead. But I guarantee you, I got shorts on there where you're going to be scratching your head, be like, what the hell does he mean? And this is one thing. You talk to these people, they don't realize I've circled the globe in the Marine Corps. They don't realize that. And that's experience from all over the world. But don't worry, somebody who never leaves their basement goes 50 feet from their home. Those are the ones you can talk about. Anyway, Grand Theft Auto, I don't play that game. My video. Anyway, let's say we're going to keep talking because that's another thing. Weird kids, Okay, video games, only the rich kids have video games. Okay, and they still went out and played because they didn't have nobody to play video games with. Not like it is today. I mean, the old Atari where Pac-Man didn't even turn around to eat the dots. He just stayed in the same direction. The old asteroids, and remember them days? Oh my God. And then they came out with the Atari 600, and that was just, this super, super better thing. Oh, I miss the good old days. You know what I miss the most? Arcades. I miss the arcades. Boy, I tell you what, I stuck a lot of quarters into those machines. But our arcade in our town, since it was a small town, was a bowling alley. That's where the pool tables were and the arcade games were. I don't know, they probably had 6 or 7 arcade games and a couple. It was a pretty big bowling alley for our town. But anyway, man, I miss that. Going to the state fair. What's the first thing you went to? The arcade tent. Going to the mall. What's the first thing you did? You ran to the arcade. Oh, yeah. Malls. Whoo, talk about a fun place to go and pick up when you were young, picking up somebody for the night, right? Yes, malls. When I did get to go see them. And then when I was in the Marine Corps, the times we were in garrison, we'd sit there and cruise the malls on a Sunday and stuff. I mean, daydreaming. Heck, you go to a mall now. Well, I don't even know if you got many of them open, but they're getting shot up. That's another thing. I like growing up and doing all this stuff. It was fun. We didn't have to worry about being shot up. It was great. Get rid of them. What a piece of shit. Probably a Jeffrey. Yep. I tell you what, these people do anything to try to get my channel in trouble. It's getting awful frustrating to try to sit there and tell people I'm trying to help you out and like I say the other night, why I'm on here. I don't know. I spent 4 hours on YouTube today trying to get everything organized and stuff, coming up with shorts. 4 hours. Why do I do this? Because I'm dedicated to the American citizen. And all they want to do is fight, complain, argue, find something to insult you about. It's amazing. The people that think words will hurt them seem to throw the biggest stones. You ever notice that? I wish all this shit would stop. I mean, I realize every generation loses freedoms, but we need to reverse that. My grandchildren should have more freedom than I had. It's just with freedom, you got to be more responsible, people. And what happens when you're not responsible? Well, now we got the government saying crime's out of control. We got to bring the military into these cities. How long do you think it's going to happen before it happens where we have something like the Boston Massacre? Anybody want to disagree with me on that? The Chicago Massacre? Like I say, the best way for these cities to not get the feds in there, start getting along, okay? Drop crime to 0 tomorrow. Completely 0. Everybody get along. Nobody's going to do any harm to each other. The black gangster's going to help the little white lady across the street. Everybody's going to get videos of this shit. That's how you make it so Trump can't bring the troops there. Start getting the fuck along. I don't understand where people don't got this mindset. Otherwise, you're going to all find out that, hey, we used to be really mad at each other, want to do harm to us, but now we got the government in here. Oh, they're just going to send agents or what? Well, it's a bunch of crap. And anybody who's all for this, study history. Man, I hope I'm wrong about the gun confiscation that they could do with the military in these cities. But you telling anybody, if Trump sat there and said to Mega, hey, Mega, I realize you're against this, but I really need the military to, you need to turn in your guns to the military checkpoints. We'll give them back to you. We just need to turn everything in, okay? And Mega would go, okay, sounds good to me. And the Democrats that want gun control, they'd be, okay, sounds great to me. Boy, have times changed. This is one thing. When I was growing up and in the Marine Corps, if any politician would have tried any of this shit, that would have been his job. He would have been gone. He'd have been impeached talking this silly stuff. But they just do it nonstop. Anyway, hey, if you like the content, you want to support the channel, hit that thumbs up to subscribe and the bell notification. Because as you can see, YouTube probably isn't too happy with my stuff. All right. And then medical. Back when I was a kid, we had a hospital in our town. We had a regional hospital in our town, which is a lot smaller than hospitals nowadays. And back then, too, let's see, kids weren't allowed, kids had to stay in the waiting room back then, couldn't go past the waiting room, and you could smoke in hospitals back then. But anyway, the doctors had offices downtown. They didn't have them in the hospital. They were downtown. And we had 3 doctors in our town. They all had their own offices. And the only time we went to the doctor was when we were sick. Not when a company who likes making a lot of money off people being sick told them they were sick, okay? And then you'd go to the doctor, and the doctor had his nurse there in his exam room and stuff. And after the exam, and if you had to go, usually the doctor had the pills to give you, but if you had to go to the pharmacy, we had a drugstore in town. And then my mom would write a check to the nurse for the doctor's visit, and we left. And you know what? We didn't have to take 1 pill daily. We took 1 pill daily for a week to 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, and that was it. Boy, have times changed. There's only one Savior, Jesus Christ. Yeah, well, he needs help too. He's going to, this is what I'm saying. God needs all types of people to help him. And he needs people that don't turn the other cheek too. All right? I'm a really passive guy until somebody doesn't want me to be. Anyway, but in these vaccines, now when I was growing up, we got polio and smallpox. Yes, I got the smallpox scar. And, they got away with it, right? So they didn't have to give it no more. Polio was like the generation before me. I saw people in our town that had suffered from polio and lived and had the effects from it. But, they got rid of it. No more smallpox, no more polio, right? So what happened? The vaccine went away, right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden nowadays, hey, you need a booster every 3 or 4 months for the rest of your life. Anyway, all I knew is one reason I don't go to the doctor is because I don't need to. And another reason I don't go to the doctor is because all they are is quacks these days, run by the companies that have the biggest rolls of dough to put in their pocket. Okay, and I know this because back in the early 90s when I still did go to the doctor, I was extremely athletic and I'd get hurt every once in a while and stuff. But anyway, the doctor was telling me, and this was in the mid 90s, how he was done with the pharma companies because all they do is their salesmen would come there and push these drugs. And he goes, a lot of people don't need this shit. And all they do is want us to push it on them. He was one that wasn't going to be bought because he understood that he was there to make people better, not people be addicted. Like I say, that doctor was great. These doctors you got now, forget it. Forget it. Anyway, that leads up to drugs. I mean, right now we got drugs are so, and remember, everything's getting better, okay? Everything is better from when I was a kid, according to the people in charge now, all right? The drugs. Okay, now the drug problem is so bad in this country. Fentanyl, I've never known anybody who died of fentanyl. I don't even know what the shit looks like, to be honest with you. Not a druggie, but, I hear it's pretty bad. So now we got ships off the coast of Venezuela, okay, and we're going to maybe start sending troops to Mexico and on this drug war thing, right? Now, just another war. Now it's not going to be the war on terror. Now it's going to be the war on drugs. And we're actually going to take it to the enemy, right? You know all he's got to do, if he's going to sit there and take Mexico cartels out, it'd take him 36 hours. Send out the B-52s nonstop, just circling, dropping bombs, landing, picking up, right out of Texas. So they ain't got to fly that far. Basically, all they are is going up to the right altitude, dropping their bombs, landing, picking up more, but nonstop. 36 hours, done. Carpet bomb the fuck out of them. And then maybe you can, if they got some bunkers, maybe you can drop some bunker busters on them like you did Iran. Over with. Venezuela, it's amazing. Maduro sits there and Trump sits there and says $50 million. Anybody will arrest them. And then Maduro says $50 million for unredacted e-lists that don't exist. And we got ships around Venezuela. Like the short I made today. That's the stone. That list that don't exist is the stone that will take Goliath down. And they're going to protect it just as much as they're going to protect the petrodollar, aren't they? Crazy times. But yep, now we're going to have war with Venezuela. I wonder if we could finally win that war. Probably not. But I will say, we're in Afghanistan. I'll get to these wars of the past, right? What are wars that I had to deal with when I was a kid? Okay, what you would call big wars. Hey, man, how's it going, Jeff? Good to see you tonight. He's a liar. Okay, check your facts, sir. Anyway, the wars that I grew up with as a kid. Are you talking about me or somebody else, Wayne? I'm sorry. I may have took that the wrong way. Anyway, Vietnam, of course. That was the big one, okay? And then another big war that we didn't really get much about it in this country would have been Russians in Afghanistan, right? They didn't win there either. It's amazing. Two world powers. This is the thing. If you won't use all your weapons you have, you're probably going to lose a war. And then remember the Falkland Islands with Argentina and Great Britain. But then there were a few smaller things. The bombing of the Beirut barracks there, where those 240 Marines, I think it was, that got killed, as 241. And then actually met a couple Marines that were in that barracks that blew up. Anyway, and then you had Reagan bombing Libya, Gaddafi. And, like I say, Reagan bombed Gaddafi's house, not the Libyan people. It's amazing. Gaddafi woke up real quick then. And then we had, Ghana, rescuing Americans from that and stuff. Nothing major. But look at what we got now going on. Wars everywhere. And look how much we're paying. This would have never flew 40 years ago. If Reagan would have decided to get us into a bunch of wars, or Carter, and they decided not get into it, but we were going to pay for a bunch of wars. I mean, back then, taxpayers or politicians spent money on trying to get peace, not war. Okay. Yeah, we had our military industrial complex, but one thing back then, we had the Cold War going, and both Russia and the United States were trying to do everything to make sure they didn't start nuclear war. Okay, they were making sure that they didn't piss off the other side enough to start nuclear retardedness. Nowadays, they talk about it like it's yesterday's breakfast. All these people, yeah, well, we can win a nuclear war. How are we supposed to win a nuclear war when the weapons are more devastating and advanced than they were 40 years ago? I mean, if we would have had Cuban Missile Crisis would have broke out into nuclear war, it wouldn't have been nothing compared to the nuclear war that can happen now. And let's not forget that France is collapsing. Anyway, so all these wars, and we're just paying for them. And, out of our pocketbook now, but eventually it's going to be with our youth in this country. Okay, if eventually Ukraine's going to run out of, if NATO and the West wants to keep this war going, eventually Ukraine's going to run out of troops. If they start sending 13-year-olds to the front lines and NATO's just keep sending money and weapons, okay, the people that are doing that need to be charged with crimes against humanity. Anybody would support a country that's sending their children to war and support them with weapons to do it. But don't worry, that's coming. Because, like I say, things are so much better than when Gen X was kids. The millennials and stuff get upset with us because, houses were $20,000. Yeah. But some jobs, you didn't even get paid over $4 an hour. You know why everything was so cheap? Because our financial situation of our country was a lot better than it is now. That's why everything was so cheap. All they did is poured a bunch of money into the system, greedy bastards taking more of it, and then it just became a snowball rolling down a hill that they just got to keep adding money to. And where are they getting the money? From us. That's why I make as least amount as possible, so I pay as least amount of taxes as possible, and I ain't gonna spend any more of my time. See, this thing, you can repay me with anything, but you can't repay me with my time. And I'm not spending any more time than I absolutely have to make a living. Like I say, I'll live in poverty because living what you're successful, you just get punished anyway. You pay a fortune in taxes, your phone never stops ringing. It's a crock of shit. Everybody, just because you're successful, everybody seems to think that, I'm successful now. Trump loves federal law. Well, as 1970 by direct federal law, we're responsible for the war. I didn't get that one. Low taxes on overtime. There should be no taxes. Did he say he was going to get rid of the IRS? Your pay should be between you and your boss. That's it. Like I'm going to tell everybody again. If they got rid of the IRS and you got your whole paycheck and they went to a 10% flat federal sales tax, how would you pay for that 10%? Number one, you're getting your whole paycheck. That's going to help a lot because you get more than 10% taken out of your check. Okay? And then, if you work with a bigger company, since they don't have to deal with the IRS and they're saving all that expense and they don't have to pay 7.5% towards Social Security, you can get at least a 10% raise overnight. So now you're getting your whole paycheck plus a 10%, 50% raise overnight. And then Just don't spend money like it's water, and you won't be paying a lot of taxes. But see, you know who that benefits? The little guy. Somebody like me who doesn't spend a lot of money every month, I wouldn't be paying shit in taxes. Easy. Get rid of the IRS. No, he's going to strengthen it. He's going to strengthen it. See, they need this for the digital dollar. They need the IRS is going to be the controlling mechanism of digital dollar. And the digital dollar, like I say, when that happens, the government still just became the primary signature on your bank account, and you became the secondary signature. And if you think I'm wrong, it's going to be run just like Social Security. How is that, Tom? The only financial account you have, who you are forced to make deposits, and the government controls the withdrawals. That's digital currency, people. Anybody on Social Security going to disagree with me on that? This is why on Social Security, I believe that you should have a choice. Either I want a lump sum at 65 and get the hell out of my life, or like all these people that have never been on the government titty at all their whole life, all of a sudden at 65 when they retire, decide that they want to be part of the entitlement system. Remember, the government now calls Social Security entitlements. So money you put in to your own financial account, the government determines how much you're entitled to. God, I'm so sick of this shit. But don't worry, things are better. It's all going to be better when you don't need money no more, right? You're never going to be able to have a garage sale. Everything, talk about big box stores running our lives now. Go down the rabbit hole of digital currency. Go down the rabbit hole with the government controlling your wallet and your bank account. Okay, you can spend it if they okay it, okay, and they can shut you down just as fast, right? Think how that's all gone over. Crazy time. You know, when I was a kid, too, the borders, it's just, we had a different mindset as Americans when we were kids. We weren't looking at America to give us anything. We were taught as we were growing up that you may not make it be rich in your life, you get to be where you're happy. And then the money will come. And the thing is, when you're in the years where you're raising your kids and stuff, okay, you're always broke. And then like your parents would be like, damn, Mom, everybody moved out of the house. You guys got a new car. You roofed the house. You sided the house. You got new furniture. God, you got money. You got money in the bank? Yeah. So you got to make it through the trench years. Okay? But, and then we were told the world's as fair as you make it. Not as fair as the government makes it, as fair as you make it. Basically, the more ambition you got, the more fair it's going to be for you. Not the big tougher you are. Your education, your ambition, your drive, that American spirit you have. Okay? How things have changed. You know, people, like I say, I feel people are splitting into two species. I really do. The Homo sapien is splitting into two species. It's got to be. I don't understand some people. Boy, J99, you are busy. Am I pissing some people off today, J99? Man, imagine that. Probably the younger generation. You know, all I know is times were tougher back when I was growing up, and we were a lot happier. You know, we were happy with what we had and satisfied with what we had because we know it could always be worse. Okay. Nowadays it's just, how can you make it better for me? How can you make it better for me? So anyway, crazy time. Tell you what, I appreciate everybody being here. If you want to support the channel, hit the like button, subscribe, and the bell notification, because this channel, I don't sell anything or take donations or super chat, stuff like that. Shouldn't have to pay to hear my opinion, and shouldn't have to pay to sit there and turn things around. Anyway, so yeah, things are a lot different when I was a kid. I know one thing, we weren't living in fear all the time. Like now we got this 3-eye atlas interstellar object in our solar system that if it's an alien ship, I was proven wrong. But I just don't think we're going to be waking up one day to Independence Day, okay? I just don't see it. Why, like you say, why would they give us, they spotted it on July 1st, right? And they're saying they can use the sun to slow down and stuff, whatever. I just don't see why an alien race would want to come down to this planet where we got people that are gender mixed up. I mean, you wouldn't, because you wouldn't want to even come close, even a chance of corrupting your culture with our culture. There's no way. Let's not forget about biosecurity too, people. People are trash, yeah. Mankind destroys everything. What God takes millions of years to create, man destroys in a couple years. But like you say, how long do you think it's going to be before Mother Earth decides to shake a little bit and get rid of our ass? I mean, one thing if all our smart people know from, all their smartness is that 99% of all species on this planet have gone extinct. Yeah, the thing is, when human beings can't even take care of themselves no more, become so late, we're going to be making our own self extinct in the next 50 years. Anyway, Paul, George Washington, currently, I do hear what you mean, though. Absolutely, politicians. Oh, you guys must be talking in chat. Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted you guys. I tell you what, I love these live streams. I love the chat that starts up. I love making people think. Even the trolls that come here and start their shit, they can't do it. I mean, we live in a messed up world. People like to say, they're trying to convince me that today is better than it was 40 or 50 years ago. Are you out of your mind? Who's believing this shit? I mean, so much stuff has happened since then. October 16th, 1983, we went over $1 trillion in debt for the government. Oh my goodness, and the country was just going to end. That's one thing that happened. That just opened the door up for, $1 trillion it took to get into debt in 1983. That would have been 194 years from 1789. So 194 years, and then we go 42 more years, and we add another 37 trillion onto it. And people wonder why everything's so expensive compared to when we were kids. Do they teach economics anymore? This is why, well, let's make everybody a millionaire. Well, good, then a loaf of bread in Walmart would be $150. Let me tell you something I learned this in the military. Okay, in the military, we got usually a 4% raise every year, right? January 1st, 4% raise. When the PX opened on January 2nd, or whenever it opened the first of the year, what do you think happened? Everything went up 4%. You understand? I learned real quick how it fucking works. Anyway, it just, I observed a lot of stuff. But yeah, I learned real quick how it works. It's not how much money something costs to make, it's how much money you got in your pocket to pay for it. And that's what they charge. And nowadays, things are getting cheap as hell. I mean, you're talking about stuff you would buy, bitch about buying it, but it lasts you for 20, 30 years. Now we pay more for garbage that lasts you maybe 6 months. Money to spend. We don't encourage people to save anymore. Because that would, if everybody saved like our grandparents and parents did and put money in the bank or put it somewhere where it wasn't circulating. See, they need people to have money in retirement accounts, but they need more money going from this hand. The guy pays me, puts it in this hand, I put it in this hand, and keep sending it down the road. Once that stops, what did Rush call it again? Rush Limbaugh. Well, I remember one thing he used to talk about, the workforce, number of people in the workforce. I forget what he called that to. But yeah, I'd say the workforce for Americans has gone down. 50 million foreign visa holders for jobs. 50 million foreign workers in this country. That means there's 50 million Americans that aren't working. Just imagine how much we wouldn't have to give to the Health and Human Services Department if we had 50 million Americans doing those jobs. But nobody can seem to figure that out. No, now he wants to sit there. And all you college kids, I'm worried about that. Well, I hope you get into college because it's going to be kind of full of Chinese students in the future. They'll be taking all the good jobs in this country and spying the shit out of us. Okay. Stop letting the rich fool you with hate, but no, you worship, you all worship. No, this channel, I tell you what, I try to live a very poor and humble life. You know, money, I sure wish I could be in agriculture and not have to make what I'm making now. But then again, I only got to work 5 or 6 days a month now. So I guess whatever, but I like the agriculture stuff, but money, I think I follow and worship a green piece of fucking paper. When I was in the Marine Corps and I was overseas, I saw what the green piece of worthless paper does. Kills people. It does a lot of bad things, but you can go chase that thing all you want. I chase happiness, okay? Like I say, how much money am I going to have that? I already got the horses. I got the knowledge and the drive and the ability to build a cabin or my dugout. I'm a lone wolf. I don't see too much dependency on the government in my retirement plan. I like to say I ain't going for Social Security. Fuck them. I don't care how much I paid into that. I ain't going to sit there and at 65, all of a sudden let the government be part of my life. They can kiss my ass. I can take that money. It's already spent. It's not like they have any money in the Social Security account. Oh, we need an extra $10 billion for Social Security this month. Get the ones and zeros into these computers. That's how it works. And I remember Social Security, when it first came out, was voluntary. Ooh, look at what happened. Another government program where they got their foot in the door and no longer was it voluntary. And then they sat there and got all this big money and this money into this big fund. And then they said, we need to spend it. A lot of it got invested in the companies and they got to spend it. Yep, our government is in our retirement too. Isn't it great? Our government thought that we were so worthless that we weren't able to figure out our retirement on our own that they decided they need to help us with it. And then a lot of people that are on retirement are working jobs. Welcome to Walmart. I can't stand watching old people that have worked their whole life having to work because the government just keeps making their money worthless. Worthless. I don't chase money. I learn skills. And when shit gets stupid, and all the people that have the skills are going to be the ones with all the gold. And that's just the way it's going to be. Okay? But then again, you can't eat gold. So I got a chicken and I got chickens. I'm getting eggs and stuff. And somebody comes up with 10 pounds of gold, wants to buy one of my chickens. I'll say, go eat your fucking gold. People will find out what's really important in life. That's what we need to get back to, I guess. We grew up with family. Like you say, having supper at the supper table. Playing with our neighbor friends. Not having to fear about a school being shot up, a mall being shot up, a grocery store being shot up, Kmart being shot up. We didn't have to worry about none of that. A fast food, well, I guess in 83, they had that, or 84, they had that, what was it, 84, that McDonald's massacre. Post offices were kind of dangerous back then. Had a lot of adults seem to be shooting up post office, government workers. Anyway, some of these comments out there. Well, they keep my moderators going. J99, boop, 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 boop. Like I say, that woman's been in the military. Watch out for her ass. She'll blue wrench you right over the head. Bam! I have to learn. Oh, yeah. I tell you what, I need to learn some stuff for my channel to grow. I need to sit there and be able to figure out how to do on my computer, picture in picture, set up a really nice studio and stuff. I need to get, I've learned a lot, but I mean, I don't know how to do a lot of that stuff. Anyway, like I said, I sure appreciate everybody being here. Want to support the channel, hit that thumbs up, the subscribe and the bell notification, because I put out a lot of content, a lot of content. And, one day, maybe when I have 10,000 videos out there, because I probably got with my live streams now, I probably got close to 1,200, I'd say, 1,200 videos. And I tell you, but the nice thing about it is they got to use the algorithm to block all that shit. So that means somebody else able to get through the defenses with their content, get people watching. Anyone got good recipes for apples? I have horses. Apple pie, caramel apples. No, I have horses, but I don't have no apples. But yeah, I know you have an apple tree. Boy, it don't take much, do you? They can really, especially if they're very fruitful, they can multiply. 30 years ago, home cost 3 times income. 20% down, took 6 months pay and mortgage, 20% income. Now it's 5 times a year. Exactly, but that's why. Because our money was worth more back then. I mean, we weren't wasting it on stupid shit. If you had a politician, I mean, back then, remember, everybody got pissed off because the president would take a trip and get the checkbook out and maybe on a 4 or 5 day tour, maybe give away $500 million, maybe. And he maybe did that once or twice a year. Nowadays, look at it. I mean, our economy, all these 50 million foreign workers in this country. How much of our money is not even staying in this country? How much of our wealth is being transferred to Mexico? We're cutting our own throats, people. Since our founding fathers created the greatest country with the Constitution, created the greatest country there ever was and the mightiest. And The Americans, through the centuries and decades and centuries, worked to make it that way. It wasn't that way in 1789. That's not when they were crossing the plains in covered wagons. It gave the right for everybody else here to come and suck off the titty. I hear 300 million people died in the country because they shut down USEP. So when did the American taxpayer become responsible for every human being on this planet? When? Things are better than they were 40 years ago. Why do we need USEP? I'm just getting sick and tired of listening to it. I know things were better when I was a kid. I know I was free. I know after the Marine Corps, when I got out, I saw how bad things were going to get. Like I say, I went in when Reagan was in, and I got out when Clinton was in. Woo! What a difference. And I was definitely on the outside looking in. And I thought we had civil war by now. I just didn't realize how much people would take. All right. Anyway, leaded gas was a hell of a deal. I'll remember that. I had I had an old 55, or was it a 57? I think it was a 55 Series 60 John Deere tractor. And I sold it when I moved to Nebraska because I couldn't bring it with me. But I used to bale with that. I still use that old putt tractor. Two old big cylinders, about 8 inches. They were big. But I had to get lead substitute to add to that gas for that tractor and stuff. Muscle cars. Boy, the muscle cars. Oh. Like I say, I sit there, start daydreaming about all this stuff. I miss it. Back then, too, when we were kids, we thought all this new technology that was coming up was great. And then when I got in the Marine Corps, I remember Christmas of 1993, I saw just how stupid we were. I was already 25 years old, 26. And I saw a guy carrying a bag phone through the mall. And I said to my girlfriend at the time, I will never get to a point where I got to carry a phone around with me. What can you say? I'm on my phone here on YouTube. One thing I like about technology is Messenger being hundreds of miles away from my kids. Like the Jetsons, I can see them when I'm talking to them. But the control they're using over it, instead of them trying to, yes, we are benefiting from it. But we are also losing our privacy, our everything we got, the government's finding out. This is the thing with this technology, all this tracking and shit has to stop. These algorithms, all these centers they're building for data collection, to store data. What the hell are they going to use it for, people? The government, if they declare that patriots, being a Marine, I'm already a domestic enemy of the state, right? According to the Democrats. But with my material that I put on YouTube, they want to sit there and say, being a patriot, you guys are a terrorist group now? Well, they got plenty of stuff on me. Not that I have a problem with that. Like I say, if I'm burnt at the stake for standing up for what the founding fathers did, so be it. Okay, it's better than staying a slave in a fucking society that the founding fathers were against. Say, I'm just a Marine who's had enough. I'm a Marine that's not listening to, it's better than it was 40 or 50 years ago. After an election, do you think anybody sat there? We had protests? No. We all knew who won the election by midnight, and everybody went to work the next day and got along. What a freaking concept. Those days are gone. They're gone. Division amongst ourselves. Create that division, the politicians are. and then just basically trying to start talking tough and shit to other countries that are nuclear, to other countries that could cause a lot of damage to this country in a matter of less than an hour. Major, major damage that would end this country. So that's what you do, is you just talk shit to them because you can do the same to them. This ain't going to end good, people. And like I say, with the military in the streets, what happens when we have our first Chicago massacre or New York massacre? And like I say, if they bring the troops in and we have no crime while the troops are there, then there's really no reason for the troops to leave now, is there? Study history, people. I hope I'm wrong. God, I hope I'm wrong. But, you know, history's just repeating itself, okay? King George had to finally put troops in the street to try to maintain control or maintain society. And now we got the same. And people just can't see how this is going to turn out. Anyway, we'll see. Like I say, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But like I say, if the troops leave D.C., I'll say maybe this is just sending them in to stop crime. But like I say, after they leave, how are the cops going to fight crime when they couldn't fight it before they were there? I mean, you think the bad guys are just holding up in their homes right now. And as soon as the military leaves, boom! Cops couldn't handle us before. It doesn't matter. The cops were crooked before. A lot of people, a lot of these cities that crime is running rampant is because of politicians, and the cops are crooked, causing division in their cities. Like I say, you don't want the military coming to your city, Chicago? Everybody start getting along today. Start seeing black gangsters walking little old white ladies across the street. No accidents, nobody mugging each other. Everybody getting along. And put a lot of videos out on social media about it. Then Trump can't bring the troops to your street now, can he? Try that. And the best thing about that is, boy, people start acting nice to each other and being good to each other. It might catch on to where they'll do it actually 2 days in a row. What do you think, people? Maybe we can take our country back by killing our government with kindness. Anyway, that's all I got for this evening. Enjoyed everybody being here. I hope you're enjoying your Labor Day weekend, and we'll see what's going on tomorrow. So this is Tom with Hidden Truths channel. I am out of here.